The galaxy had long witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, but none so arrogant as the Zarth Dominion. They prided themselves on their unmatched technology and ruthless efficiency in conquest. Their ships, sleek and gleaming, cut through space like blades through silk. For centuries, no planet had withstood their might, and Earth was to be no exception. The invasion was planned meticulously. Intelligence reports claimed Earth's defenses were primitive missiles, outdated energy weapons, and disorganized military forces. A mere skirmish, the Zarth believed, barely worth the effort. Yet Earth's strategic location in the Milky Way made it a desirable trophy. Commanders spoke of victory with casual confidence as their fleet approached orbit. On the first day, Earth's skies darkened with the shadows of Zarth vessels. Massive city centers were paralyzed as electromagnetic pulses rendered human technology useless. Communications went dark, and power grids flickered into silence. Panic spread like wildfire as human governments struggled to respond. The initial assault was laughably easy. Zarth drones swept through urban areas, reporting minimal resistance. Military installations were vaporized within hours, and the few fighter jets that managed to launch were obliterated by precision strikes. It was a textbook operation, flawless, efficient, and decisive. But something was wrong. Despite their overwhelming success, the Zarth commanders noted a glaring anomaly. Where were the humans? Entire cities lay eerily silent. Streets that should have been choked with traffic and chaos were deserted. Office buildings stood abandoned, their lights still flickering. Parks, once bustling with life, were empty save for swaying trees. Initial scans suggested that the population had been evacuated, but there were no signs of mass transport or underground shelters large enough to accommodate billions. The readings made no sense. Commanders ordered their forces to sweep the planet, confident they would flush out the hiding humans. Days passed, and frustration mounted. The humans had vanished without a trace. No thermal signatures, no life signs detectable by even the most advanced Zarth sensors. It was as if the entire species had simply evaporated. "This makes no sense," growled General Vortak, his scaled fists clenched. "A population this vast does not just disappear." Technicians worked feverishly, recalibrating sensors and launching probes deeper into Earth's terrain. Yet the result was the same: silence. The Zarth Dominion, accustomed to swift and decisive victories, was confronted by a mystery that defied their understanding. Arrogance turned to unease. Whispers of ancient human cunning circulated among the ranks. The planet, though seemingly primitive, held secrets they had not anticipated. The Zarth had come expecting a simple conquest, but what lay ahead would be far from easy. And so, beneath their smug confidence, doubt began to take root. Earth was no longer just a planet to be conquered, it had become a puzzle that threatened to unravel the very fabric of Zarth supremacy. The vast metropolises of Earth stood eerily quiet. Skyscrapers loomed like hollow sentinels over empty streets. Traffic lights blinked rhythmically, directing vehicles that no longer moved. Parks lay undisturbed, their benches and pathways untouched by human presence. The wind carried an unsettling stillness, broken only by the hum of alien surveillance drones slicing through the air. The Zarth forces moved cautiously, their sleek forms gliding through abandoned thoroughfares. Advanced sensors swept every building, scanning for heat signatures, biological markers, and signs of human life. Yet, scan after scan returned the same result: nothing. Entire cities had been left in pristine condition, as if humanity had simply stepped out for a moment and never returned. Command posts buzzed with frantic activity as alien technicians pored over data. No mass graves. No biological residue suggesting a viral event. No transport records indicating a planetary evacuation, one technician reported, frustration lacing his voice. "It's impossible." General Vortak's eyes narrowed as he examined the holographic map of Earth. Red markers indicated areas already swept by search teams, but the vast majority of the planet was a sea of blue, devoid of any detectable human presence. "They're here somewhere," he growled. "They can't have just vanished." Drones were deployed underground, scouring subway systems, storm drains, and long-abandoned tunnels. They found only emptiness, graffiti-strewn walls, and stagnant water. Probes descended into the deepest caverns and fault lines, but no signs of life emerged. Even the oceans, vast and teeming with life, held no trace of human activity. Strange anomalies began to surface. In one city, a massive digital billboard flickered to life, displaying a cryptic message in glowing human script, "We are watching." In another, a burst of encrypted radio waves echoed through the airwaves before vanishing without a trace. The Zarth scrambled to decode the signals, but they were met with layers of encryption beyond their understanding. In a desolate industrial district, a search team discovered a warehouse filled with intricate machines, their functions indecipherable. Strange energy signatures pulsed from within, but any attempt to interact with the devices resulted in catastrophic failures. The Zarth were masters of technological innovation, yet these human creations eluded their comprehension. Paranoia crept into the ranks. Soldiers reported shadows moving at the edges of their vision, whispers that faded before they could be identified. Some claimed to hear faint echoes of laughter carried on the wind. Tricks and psychological warfare, Vortak barked, dismissing the reports. But unease lingered. The absence of direct conflict gnawed at the Zarth psyche. They had expected a swift and brutal campaign, not this unnerving game of hide and seek. The humans were out there, somewhere, and the longer they remained unseen, the more dangerous they became. As dusk fell over the silent cities, the invaders stood at the edge of a grim realization. Conquering Earth was no longer about brute force. It was about unraveling a mystery crafted by a species far more cunning than they had ever imagined. The first sign of retaliation was subtle but devastating. High above Earth's atmosphere, Zarth command vessels experienced simultaneous system failures. Their sophisticated navigation arrays flickered, then went dark. Engines stuttered and communications scrambled into incoherent static. Emergency protocols kicked in, but the damage was already done. Ships drifted helplessly in orbit as chaos rippled through the fleet. On the ground, EMP blasts erupted across key alien outposts. Shield generators sparked and collapsed, leaving vital installations exposed. Zarth soldiers, reliant on advanced targeting systems and communication networks, found themselves disoriented and vulnerable. Panic spread as once flawless operations descended into confusion. From the shadows, humanity struck. Small, coordinated teams emerged from hidden underground bunkers, their movements precise and deadly. They wore adaptive camouflage suits, blending seamlessly with their surroundings. Armed with salvaged alien technology and advanced human innovations, they dismantled Zarth forces with ruthless efficiency. The invaders, accustomed to dominating open battlefields, were ill-prepared for guerrilla warfare. Human fighters moved like phantoms, striking swiftly before vanishing into labyrinthine tunnels and dense urban ruins. Explosives rigged to abandoned vehicles detonated without warning, reducing alien patrols to scorched debris. Psychological warfare intensified. Holographic projections of massive human armies appeared on the horizon, drawing Zarth forces into elaborate traps. Audio broadcasts echoed through deserted cities, filled with taunting messages and the sounds of approaching reinforcements. The Zarth, unable to discern illusion from reality, wasted resources on phantom threats. General Vortak seethed as reports flooded in. "They're toying with us," he snarled, slamming a fist onto the command table. "How can a species this primitive outmaneuver us? They understand their terrain better than we do," a subordinate admitted reluctantly. "And they fight without relying on centralized systems. They're adapting faster than expected." Desperation led the Zarth to deploy their most fearsome war machines, towering constructs bristling with energy cannons and impenetrable armor. But even these technological marvels proved vulnerable. Human hackers, operating from concealed locations, breached their systems, turning the machines against their creators. Massive war machines stumbled through the streets, firing indiscriminately before collapsing in smoldering heaps. The Zarth's greatest weakness was exposed. Their reliance on technological superiority had made them inflexible. Humanity, by contrast, thrived on unpredictability and ingenuity. As the days stretched on, alien morale plummeted. Soldiers, once confident and disciplined, grew skittish and paranoid. Supply lines were disrupted, and communication networks remained compromised. The invaders, who had once moved with mechanical precision, now stumbled through a landscape that seemed to reject them at every turn. Humanity had turned the tide, not with brute strength, but with relentless cunning and adaptability. The Zarth, for all their advancements, were learning a harsh lesson. Conquering Earth was far more difficult than they had ever imagined. And the humans were just getting started. The Zarth forces were unraveling. Once a symbol of galactic dominance, their sleek ships now littered Earth's skies as smoldering wreckage. Ground units, scattered and leaderless, clung to the last remnants of their shattered arrogance. What had begun as a confident invasion had devolved into a desperate fight for survival. General Vortak paced inside the command bunker, his eyes dark with rage and frustration. "Prepare the remaining forces for a full retreat," he ordered, voice strained. Pride tasted bitter on his tongue, but the truth was undeniable: Earth was a lost cause. The humans had outmaneuvered them at every turn, turning the planet into a nightmare battlefield. As Zarth ships scrambled to leave Earth's atmosphere, humanity delivered its final blow. Precision strikes targeted retreating vessels, creating walls of fire in the sky. Escape routes were choked with debris as alien ships collided in their frantic attempts to flee. Those that managed to break free carried scars of defeat, their hulls scorched and fractured. On the ground, the tide had fully turned. Hidden bunkers opened, revealing vast networks of interconnected shelters. Civilians and soldiers alike emerged, weary but triumphant. Engineers and medics coordinated efforts to restore power grids and communications. The surface, once a battleground, began its slow transformation back to civilization. Human leaders, united by the struggle, coordinated their next moves. There was no triumphal parade, only grim determination. The Zarth might be retreating, but the lesson was clear: Earth could never let its guard down again. Defense networks were already being planned, alliances strengthened, and technological advancements accelerated. In one final act of defiance, humanity broadcast a message into the cosmos. It was simple, direct, and unmistakable: "This is Earth. We do not bow. We do not break." Aboard the last remaining Zarth command vessel, General Vortak stood at the observation deck, watching the planet shrink into the distance. His claws trembled with a mix of anger and grudging respect. "We underestimated them," he admitted quietly. "Their technology is primitive, but their will unmatched." An aide approached cautiously. "Should we prepare for retaliation, General?" Vortak shook his head. "No. Not now. Let them have their victory. We have much to learn from this defeat." As the Zarth fleet limped back toward the stars, Earth stood resilient beneath the blue skies that had witnessed its defiance. The scars of battle would remain, etched into its landscapes and memories, but so too would the lesson learned: humanity was not to be underestimated. And in the hearts of every human who had fought, endured, and survived, a fire burned brighter than ever, a fierce reminder that they were not just survivors but conquerors of their fate.